Is the history of warfare written in Eurocentric terms? It's important to define history of warfare and what we mean by Eurocentric terms. History of warfare is the study of how societies developed through the prism of the militaries they used to wage war. It is the study of global transformation. Second, Eurocentrism is generally defined as a cultural phenomenon that views the histories and cultures of non-Western societies from a European or Western perspective. Europe, more specifically Western Europe, or the West, functions as a universal signifier in that it assumes the superiority of European cultural values over those of non-European societies. Or it's a body of beliefs that uncritically establishes Europe's historical progress and political and ethical superiority, depicting development in the rest of the world as a result of the diffusion of European civilization. So yes, it is Eurocentric. The premise of the rise of the West, or Western superiority in itself, is a Eurocentric question, and its explanations or traditional theory are often couched in military terms. Or put another way, military history is taught in a way to describe the dominance of the West. We only have to look to the debate or theory that forms the crux of that one question: the military history field, our own curriculum, and the subsequent field of international relations, which is the military revolutions theory, or debates. The original paper, written by Michael Roberts and follow-on debates, focused exclusively on Europe. Roberts and others argue that a series of European military innovations in tactics, strategy, army size, and socio-political effects resulted in propelling the rise of several entities, such as the administrative state, financial services, standing armies, and etc., things fundamental to the creation of the modern sovereign state or nation-state system. You also have Hanson's Western way of warfare that attempts to answer this Western rise, superiority, dominance question by asserting the West's military prowess is due to some unique, distinct factors that contribute to its success. How accurate is this? And how much critical examination was done and factored in non-Western perspectives? How is one so sure these are all distinctly European factors? Why the inordinate amount of focus on the West in general in military history and IR? Sharman argues that the factors that define the military revolution in Europe were absent in European expeditions to Asia, Africa, and the Americas, and conventional accounts are often marred by Eurocentric biases. Non-Western forces also had some of the same so-called advantages they did. Also, the European forces did not employ some of these tactics in the military revolution in these other parts of the world. Additionally, Western expansion prior to the Industrial Revolution is best explained by Europeans' ability to garner local support and allies, but especially by their deference to powerful non-Western polities. See this in Hernan Cortes and Pizarro and how they conquered the Aztecs and the Incans, and you can see myths that were busted by non-Western army sizes and the use of infantry. Fact is, the West has never been the only ones to engage in warfare. Historians also likely paid little attention to the tech advances from other cultures that likely contributed to the West's military development, instead focused on any developments being passed directly from ancient Greece and Rome. So you have things like gunpowder, and this is evidenced by armored ships in Japan. Additionally, Hanson's explanations are severely cherry-picked, and he only focuses on Europe's military successes. But what about its failures? Examples being numerous Ottoman conquests of European territories. Also, you have the Portuguese who were defeated in naval clashes with the Ming Chinese. You also have the Mughal military power versus the East India Company. So you can say there's also a lack of space and voices absence in the literature of those non-Western groups, societies who have conversely been conquered by the West. How often are we reading about accounts of indigenous peoples' military experiences, such as the Viet Cong military strategy, Aztecs' oral history of warfare, the fallen Iraqi military strategy? How about their own warfare history and how it shaped their respective societies? So if the majority of military history is dominated by the study of the false premise of supposed Western military success that predicated Western dominance, then how can it not be written in Eurocentric terms? The same can be said of those that erroneously contributed military innovation and technological advancements to exclusively Europeans instead of understanding the exchanges from other cultures that likely contributed to the West's military development. As Sharman says, a more global view premised on the agency of powerful non-Western actors would serve to correct the undeniable Eurocentric bias in IR, and I'll say military history.